Hey guys, welcome back to Em and Ev. Today I'm going to be talking about a very emotional topic that is very dark. There's going to be a lot of triggers that are within this video, so if you deal with any kind of anxiety, depression, panic disorder, any kind of mental affliction that is easily switched on, I'm going to say in terms of a light switch, I guess, then take it easy, because I will try to watch videos and think I'm gonna be okay, and by the end of the video I'm not okay. Today I'm going to be talking about my disorder, the few that I have that have completely changed my life. And this video is not only requested, and I did record it once and I tried to edit it, but my ring light was in the frame, so I went through with editing a 30-minute video, and it turns out that I couldn't use the editing program that I had. So here I am doing again for a third time. I tried a second take, and Kiki, Do You Love Me was in my head the entire time, and I couldn't focus. The baby came in during it, like he opened the door. No. He was over at his grandma's house and he arrived home via transport, and I had to cut that short. Hi. I ate your leg. You smell like syrup. I love you.
So I had pancakes with syrup.
Oh, that's why.
And chicken tenders and French fries and macaroni and cheese and I feel like there's some ice cream.
Jesus.
Yeah, he ate like a little pig.
That's not very healthy for you.
He was using a spoon by himself.
Get you.
Hello, TV land.
Hello. Hello. So I'm going to be able to do it all today and finish it. I'm determined. Because he is with Greg and Greg's mom. There is some things going on between Greg and I that I am not ready to talk about on camera. I think that stuff needs to stay personal, at least for now, and it can be used against me in the future. So we're just gonna leave that out. Let's not focus on that today. Let's focus on something even worse. But I feel that it will help somebody out there, and if my message can change a life or change a moment in time, then it's worth it to come to this crazy internet world and spill all the tea on myself, expose me. I don't know really how that works. So this is how I started my other ones, and I feel like it was a really good intro, really smooth, so let's just keep riding that wave. In the wake of a bunch of celebrity suicides lately, you always see this trend go on after someone takes their life, where people will post, whether it be tweet or gram it, the suicide prevention hotline. And I'm here to say that hotline is complete and utter bull crap. I've called it before, received zero help. This was in a very, very bad period in my life where many times I have thought about taking my own life, and this was one of those instances. It was a very, very dark night. I called, and the response I got was utterly repulsive. And I have never called again, and I wouldn't recommend anybody ever call. From the zero help, zero guidance, zero support, it was just rude attitude I received. In a matter of a few minutes, I had to hang up the phone. So I'm coming to you to not only make light of the mental illness community, I guess you could call us, those that really have problems, because people can just say, I have anxiety because I can't go and present in front of a group of people, or I have depression because I'm really down lately. But that's not it at all. I can't go out in public anymore. I've confined myself to a household. I can't hold a normal position in society. I cry myself to sleep many nights, and I have done that. I had to change my whole world, and the only way to fully describe what I'm going through and what a lot of people that have real mental illness go through, and I'm not trying to undermine if anybody does have a mental affliction, I'm just trying to say, take a minute. You don't know what somebody else is going through, and listen. If they come to you, listen, be empathetic. Don't be like everybody else and think, if I share this hotline, I'm saving a life. No, you're not. You're really just making things worse. So I'm going to start 3 years ago. I'm going to start on the night of my Christmas band concert, my junior year. This is 2015, December of 2015. Before I was diagnosed with panic disorder, before my life got turned upside down, I was a very enthusiastic dreamer, perfectionist, which led to a lot of my problems that I have today. But I was a showgirl. I like to show off. I like to have fun. I like to laugh loud, be the center of attention. I was a know-it-all. I'm still some of those things, but definitely not in the way that I used to be. I mean, I was a baton twirler. I could go out in front of crowds of hundreds and thousands and perform with this grace and elegance, and look at me, and I won a lot of awards because I could do that so well, and I could sell myself. I could sell myself in pageants. I mean, to be in pageants, you gotta be able to convince somebody that you are the winner. They are 110% subjective. So you gotta go out there and say, I'm the best, and here's why. You have to carry yourself a certain way. You have to be confident. Your confidence has to be astronomical. I don't know what word I was trying to use there. A lot. You have to have a lot of confidence, guys. So I'm trying to make the distinction. I'm not trying to say I was this awesome person. Make this distinction between the person I was and the person I am today. I went out on stage just like I had since I was in the 6th grade for different concerts. I had my flute. I wasn't this huge flute player, flautist if you prefer, but I did enjoy being in the band. It gave me an opportunity to hang out with my friends, have fun. I was good at the flute. I wasn't anything amazing. It definitely wasn't a passion. So I go out there, 3rd chair, you know, the seniors were ahead of me, and we start playing, and I start getting this really weird feeling. I start getting these hot chills. I know that contradicts, but that's the best way I can put it. This tingling up my spine. I'm getting hot, I'm starting to sweat, you know. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I feel like I'm gonna hit the floor. My heart is fluttering. It's beating through my chest at this point. I feel like I can't breathe. It almost feels like somebody is suffocating me. Someone is sitting on my chest. An elephant is sitting on my chest. I can't breathe. And the first thing that pops in my mind is, I'm about to die on this stage. And I don't want to make a scene because I seriously thought something was wrong. So I look at the girl beside me, who was a good person, nice person. You know, I knew she could help me if I needed it. But she's in the middle of playing her little jig, and I'm like, I'm about to pass out. My mouth, all of the saliva is just gone. Like, you're like talking like you're in the desert. Like, so I look to the other girl beside me, and they're kind of like, whoa, what's going on? Like, do I need to do something? But I'm in the middle of playing. Like, you're giving me this really strange vibe. And I could see my parents, even though like my vision was getting blurred, like I zoned in on them, and they were giving me this, are you okay? Kind of, something was connecting there. We knew something was wrong. The wavelengths were, just something not right. So I look at my band director, and I said, I have got to go. So I stagger across the stage. Like, here's the chairs and here's the edge. And I'm like, do. Mission Impossible, but yet at the same time I can't see anything. My hearing just got blown out. I feel like I'm gonna pass out and fall off the stage. I get through the door and I puke. And I'm sitting there, my parents come to me. I am whiter than a ghost, which I am pretty white, so it's like translucent now. And from that point on, my mom could tell something was wrong and things were not going to be easy from then on. She had dealt with extreme anxiety, so did a bunch of my family members. So I guess in a way you could say it's hereditary. It's in my bones. Some of them choose to be medicated. Some of them have to be medicated. Some of them are homebound. It really just depends on the level. Mine is extreme, so my case is not just your normal flutters. Maybe I'm having a heart attack. I'm not going to say that's easy, because I did go through a period like that. But mine is very, very dark. We'll get there. So the rest of that winter break, I didn't go to school the next day because I definitely didn't feel good. I thought something was off physically. I've been experiencing these weird sinus issues and this really red, irritated throat, but with no real answer. I kept on seeing a doctor, and we think now, looking back, that it was just my anxiety manifesting into a physical form, and now it's more of a mental form now that we have our finger on it and say this is the problem. Because ever since I really had that first big panic attack and following, and my lifestyle changed to help really pinpoint the mental problem, I haven't been experiencing those physical symptoms. And it was happening a lot, especially my junior year, because I had a lot of stress and I think my mind just imploded. I couldn't take anymore, and off the rails I went into mental crazy land. So I spend Christmas break in this weird fog, and this was a sign that mentally I wasn't there like I used to be. We were going to the mall one night, me and my friends. I loved to be independent before all this anxiety happened, in which I was chained to my mother because she was my support. She was that scapegoat I went to. I know that can be used in different ways, like a narcissistic way, but she was that person that I latched onto that could make me feel safe. Like my emotional support animal, in a way. That's a good way to put it, I guess. I don't know. But we were going to the mall, me and my friends, which was nothing new. I spent a lot of time at the mall. Never had a problem going to the mall. But this thought popped in my head that told me, Emma, if you go to the mall tonight, you are going to die. Don't know where it came from, because you know what? Mental illness is completely irrational, and that's what you'll see through the trends that I talk about. Through anybody's mental illness, it's irrational. It happens for no reason. It's like day and night, you change. And that thought haunted me the whole evening before we went, to the point where I started having one of my freak out sessions, and I said to my friend, we cannot go. We can't go. We're not going to be safe. We're going to die. But where did that come from? I don't know. And so they were like, okay, maybe you do have a gut feeling about this. Let's listen to your gut. Let's not go. Let's stay in and play Candyland or Life. I don't remember what we played. But that continued on. And Monday, when I went back to school, I sat down in my pre-calc class, which I did every day that I was in school. I had the same ritual. I had my homework ready. I was prepared. I wasn't stressed about anything. I mean, it's our first day back. What could you be stressed about? And the second I sit down and she closed that door, I thought, oh my God, I am trapped. That was a thought that really I had trouble with. It was a trigger for me for a while, especially the first little bit, being in a situation in which I felt trapped socially, or socially was a big one. Being in a class, you can't just get up and walk out. Being in some kind of auditorium, being in a car, things of that nature. So I started having the same symptoms that I experienced at the band concert. Couldn't breathe, felt like somebody was literally holding my neck, sitting on my chest. I'm freaking out, I'm sweating, my vision's getting blurred, and that's when I start grabbing the desk. You know, you do the little jerk, like out in, like everything shuts down real quick. It feels like you passed out, and you grab and you're back to life, and it feels like hours, but it's only been minutes. I mean, the teacher hadn't even started speaking yet, and I'm like, I gotta go. And I jump up and I race for the bathroom, and I called my mom, and I am screaming, crying in the bathroom. I mean, school started at 7:50 or something, and it's like 7:55, and I knew my life had changed completely. In a matter of 5 minutes, something wasn't right. So I'm calling her. She's like, what's up? And I'm like, Mom, I need to go to the doctor. I need to see a doctor. Something is wrong. And she knew. She just had that feeling. She knew that that's what was wrong. And she picked me up, and I was shaking. I mean, like, couldn't console myself. Terrified of myself. Terrified something was wrong. Terrified of my mind at this point. I felt like my body had abandoned me. I'd been betrayed by my own self that I put so much energy and effort into to be perfect, and now I was just shutting down completely. So she takes me straight to my PCP, and she says, we've dealt with this a lot lately. You know, is there something in the water? Kind of that joking question. And she said, I'm going to go ahead and refer you to a psychologist and a psychiatrist, because I was under the age of 18 at the time. I needed a psychiatrist to actually prescribe me medication. She could tell at that point, going over everything that was going on, that I definitely was going to need some medication. Later that day, because I needed it, I went to the psychologist to have my what's that called, like an entrance exam, and I could not look this lady in the eye. I couldn't speak. My mom was speaking on my behalf, which had never happened. I was a very independent, intelligent young woman. I could voice what I wanted voiced. I was not afraid to have a conversation one-on-one or with a whole auditorium of people, and I was shaking. I mean, I got to the point where I pretty much like backed into the corner of the room and was like, just breathe, you're gonna be okay. And I was terrified of what, you may ask? I don't know. That's mental illness. You have nothing to be scared of, and yet you're scared of everything. So I started seeing this lady on a very regular basis. At the time that I started seeing her, I needed to see her every day, which just sounds insane, but I could not function on a normal level, especially anywhere close to the level I used to be on. So she starts seeing me. I could not even be in a room without my mom, because I thought, my mom's gonna leave and I'm gonna die. So I started going to work with my mom, and I would just lay on her couch. I was starting to become depressed because I could tell nothing was changing. I am this new person now, and my life is completely screwed. And so the depression starts to take over. But really, it's the whole anxiety. I would not go back to this period in my life if somebody paid me $1 zillion. I would not wish anxiety upon my worst enemy, because it's so draining. I mean, I just wanted to lay in bed. I wanted to go to sleep and never wake up. And that's what I prayed for at night, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have answers. I was a very rational person, and there is no system. There is no rational thinking to anxiety. You can't just think yourself out of it. So you're going through a million things in your head on what do I do now? What do I blah, 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 blah. So anyways, they figured it was time for me to change schools, to get a smaller classroom environment, feel more comfortable, where the teachers would know more about what was going on, could give me one-on-one attention. If I needed to get up and leave, they would understand. So I was transferred to a private Christian school in which my siblings went to. And I felt okay. But of course, you know, I was so high on the Xanax, I'm gonna say that's the only way I could function. And they started testing out SSRIs, and I've been on so many different drugs, both classifications, that I could not tell you. I could tell you everything about each drug, what side effects you're gonna have, this and that, but many did not help me, and I'm still trying to work out the combo right now, but we'll get to that. So I started having panic attacks despite the level of Xanax I was on, like the most I could be on for my weight class and my age before I would like OD is pretty much what the psychiatrist said to me. And they encouraged me to lower my dose, if I could, but I mentally couldn't. So I'm sitting in class, I start having a panic attack. I'm gonna die. And I walk out into the bathroom and I start hearing things and seeing things, which this scares me because this really induced the biggest panic attack I've ever had, that it gives me anxiety to think about it. But it's good to talk about it. It's good to talk about it, share that, because somebody else might be experiencing it. So I walk out and it's like I'm in this whole nother world, and it scares the living out of me. All right, what the heck is my mind doing? What in the world? So I freak out. I end up going home and just laying in bed. Like, nobody bother me. I just want to die. What the heck is going on? What just happened today? Like, I kind of blocked it out of my mind until my dad came over and we were sitting at a table, and I broke down and I was like, I can't go back. I was so scared of what had happened that I just started bawling my eyes out. I can't go back. But I couldn't tell them because I knew if I would say it, I would just scare myself more into a panic attack, which did happen. My dad left, they're like, all right, you're fine. And I told my mom everything. And it's like, as the words came out, I was this out of body. That wasn't me saying them, and I was scaring myself as I was saying it. And so that triggered the worst panic attack I've ever been in. I ran out. It was snowing. My knees hit the snow. I was screaming. I thought I was possessed. That experience led me to be scared of possession. So then whenever I would go out in public, it's like, what, am I just going to be possessed all of a sudden? Have a crazy episode like I did? So it confined me even more to the house. I started doing online schooling because I couldn't get to a classroom. When I was at the Christian school I was at, I literally hid in a closet. That was bad. I was still seeing my psychologist. The meds just weren't right. I was trying different things. I was getting tested to see if me and my mom had the same strands of whatever. So, hypothetically, if one medicine worked for her, it should work for me, and that wasn't the case. And that was a very difficult case, but I still went to my appointments. My mom had to drag me there to get me out of bed. I would go to my mom's work. I would be by her side. I was scared to death. And I say that my anxiety manifests in different ways. It was physical at first. Then it was this whole, am I gonna pass out? Am I gonna die kind of fear. Then it changed into the whole possession fear. And I had some really, really tough times because if I would talk about how I felt, it would trigger a panic attack. So I tried to stay away. I tried to push it away and say, I'm not going to psychologist. I'm not going to talk about it to anybody. I'm just going to keep it in and I'm going to sleep. And sleep was my only escape for those times, to confine myself to my room and sleep and hit up the Xanax so I could just sleep even better. And over time, I worked with my psychologist. We were making some breakthroughs. We were inducing panic attacks in the room, which trying to get me out of them, trying to relax me. I was doing meditation therapy. I was doing breathing therapy. All this crazy stuff that happens to crazy people. There were many times where I was just at my wit's end. Send me to the mental asylum so they can drug me up. But I knew if I would go, I would get no help. They would just shoot meds into me. I had talked to people that had been there before. I had talked to my psychologist about it, and it wouldn't do anything but step me back. So I just had to push through it. And as I was getting better, I remember we were about to go on vacation, one that I was so stressed out about. I mean, I hadn't left the house and we were going to an amusement park. And I literally sent my neck into neck spasms, because if you're overcoming one battle, your anxiety is going to figure out something else to mess up. So, okay, I might be getting over the possession thought, but it's like, wait for this trick. All right, I got another one up my sleeve. So I started having neck spasms, and I went to the ER, and they put me on Flexeril. And this was a very, very dark period in my life. They said, do not take your Flexeril, which is a muscle relaxer, with your Xanax. Which really just went into one ear as, you're going to feel nothing if you take both. And that's what I wanted to do. From the second they said that, I knew I was going to be on a real high. I knew that it would help me feel better, because I hated how I felt. I just wanted to feel nothing. I'd rather feel nothing than something. And so we were about to get on the plane, and I popped the Flexeril, and I popped my Xanax, and I remember nothing. Like, I'm surprised I woke up from that. And it was just that whole vacation, I was really in a daze. We'd go to the amusement park, I'd be so high on my Flexeril and Xanax that when I'd get back I would sleep, and I'd wake up the next morning to go back to the amusement park and do it all over again in the evening. I'd come back and sleep. And my mom finally caught on to what I was doing and took away my Flexeril, and that was a really hard time for me. It was like my craziness had turned me into this addict at the same time, and it just built. Everything just built. And I will say that, I didn't take a Flexeril after that, but it was hard. It was hard not to pop one and my muscles be relaxed and feel like I was calm and safe. And I don't tell a lot of people about that, but I think it's important, because it's so easy to OD on anything, especially when you're feeling the way that you feel and you don't understand. All right, moving on. In the summer of 2016, I started to feel a little better. And my college, the one I still go to, is so accommodating for people with disabilities. And it was to the point, I can't function in public. I couldn't do anything, that it was classified as a disability. And I was able to be under their program, and so they changed things up. My mom and dad really pushed me to get back into the classroom. And, I set that goal, and I worked with my psychologist about it. And, that first day that I was in a classroom with 40 people, because my school is relatively small, but still you're going to have college classrooms. I could not focus the whole time. I pretty much just did this and rocked back and forth and was popping my Xanax the whole time. But I knew, I had to get through it, and I set that goal, and I did get through it. And I went to 2 live classes. I had 2 online, which I was an early enrolled student anyways, which was awesome. I finished my high school degree through online test, like CLEP test, as they call them, if you know anything about that. So I was able to finish that and get college credit and start in the college classroom. And I love twirling. And I really wanted to get back on the field, and they gave me the opportunity to do that at state. And it took a lot of Xanax at first, but I got that umph and I went out there. And I think Xanax is an amazing thing if you use it right and you don't abuse it. If you use the right dosage and you are able to do something one time, then you can continuously cut back on the dosage, and it's going to give you your confidence back. And that's what it did. By the last time I twirled with state, before I got pregnant, I had my confidence back. I wasn't taking a Xanax. The more I went into the classroom, the less Xanax I needed. And yes, there were days that were very off days, and I still have those where I'm mentally not there. And I will say I'm in a worse position than I was when I was going into the classroom, because I've had a baby since then. I've had a lot of life changes, and right now I have a lot of stress in my life. But all right, everything kind of reset itself after I got pregnant. I was taken off of the maintenance medications that I was put on, and because it can cause heart defects and deformities in the baby, and of course I didn't want to jeopardize that. So I pretty much confined myself to the house. Every time I'd go out, my pregnancy symptoms would overlap with my anxiety symptoms and make this big hot mess of panic. And I don't think I said this, but I've been diagnosed with panic disorder. It's not just anxiety, it's random triggers that can send me into very, very bad episodes. And a lot of people have panic disorder. It's hell on earth. Anyways, after I had the baby, I dealt with almost the opposite of postpartum depression, like this mama bear, angry, aggressive self. And I'm still trying to work through that now, but it heightened, and it made me not want to be around anybody else but my child. I wanted my child to be number one in a very obsessive way. My obsessive thoughts have gotten a lot worse ever since I've had the baby, and that is the truth. In February of 2018, my anxiety manifested into its newest form, which is my fear of losing control of myself and committing suicide, hurting myself. A good example is I'll be driving and I'll feel like I'm just going to swerve into traffic all of a sudden. I'll be on the 3rd story of the mall and I feel like I'm going to jump over the edge, and those obsessive thoughts have completely controlled my life lately, to the point where I can't do anything without focusing on those horrid, scary thoughts. And it's confined me to the house again, just like I was. And I am seeing a therapist weekly, and I should even more than that. I have had to change my meds around because the meds I was on previous to getting pregnant, now my body has changed the composition of it, my chemicals in my brain, and it just doesn't work the way it used to. So it's a game. It's a lifelong struggle. Anybody that has mental illness, it's awful. I mean, I'm here for you, and I wanted to make this video to make light of it. Not like it's easy, but to tell it how it is. Anxiety is not just the flutters and the nervousness. It's taking your life and living in your house because you're scared if you walk outside, your body will somehow take over and you will walk into the street. And it's the obsessive thought of committing suicide on a daily, on an hourly basis. I mean, in February, it was almost every minute of my time. I would see the knives in the kitchen and think, why don't I just end it? Why don't I just grab it and just, and that really started. My big trigger with that was we were in a parking lot, a gas station parking lot, and Greg had his gun out and he said, if you need to use it, because we do live in a sketchy area and there were some sketchy figures out there. It was dark. It was like 2 a.m. I had the baby in the car. And just looking at that gun, even though I was so familiar with guns, I've been around guns my whole life. My dad was a tactical defense instructor. I know safety of guns. Looking at that gun changed my life now. And the first thought that came to my mind because of my mental illness was, what if I would just take that and shoot myself in the head right now? And then I latched on to that thought, and that thought went from this, just that passerby thought that all of us get, to this extreme, huge ordeal, which that's what anxiety is. It's taking something that's this big and making it humongous. It's being able to tackle this or that, but when you drop a piece of cantaloupe, you cry for 4 hours and you think about how miserable you are in your life, and you seriously want to commit suicide because of that dropped cantaloupe turned into all of this. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that this is what I have to deal with. And I mourn the loss of the girl I used to be, that hopeful dreamer, that beautiful, beautiful soul. And I wish I would have taken that time and really cherished it. And I'm so thankful for my son, but I hope I can get better over time. It doesn't make me any less of a mother to have mental illness. There are plenty of mothers out there that deal with anxiety, especially so, and depression. I wake up every day and I do it for him. He is my light. I'm going to do it for him. And yes, I get scared when he's in the car and I have those thoughts. What if I just swerve out into traffic? Because I want to keep him safe. That's my primal instinct. And that's why I'm going to be a mother, and I'm going to be the best mother I can be, because it's for him. I'm doing this for him, but first I need to heal myself to be the best mother I can possibly be for him. That's why take the step and enroll in therapy, and nobody's going to reach out to you if you're having those problems, especially if you keep them to yourself like me. You have to reach out to somebody else. You have to call your mom and say, hey, I've had a really, really rough day. I mean, your mom's not going to come to you like, sweetie, oh, are you having anxiety? And at first I thought that's how it should be, and I still get those thoughts, and it makes me depressed when I feel like no one is there for me. But they are. You have to open up, and I know it's hard, but as a person with mental illness, things you need to do, you need to reach out to a therapist. You need to reach out to somebody you support. Yeah.
Are you still videoing?
Yeah, it's like 1 second. Is he here?
No, is he bringing him over?
No.
I was going to say that if you want to take a walk, we can walk over with the stroller and get him if he's ready for it.
Okay.
I think he tried to text you.
Oh yeah, I'm almost done then.
Okay.
I requested a prepaid card. Anyways. And if you check on your loved ones, give them a hug, because you don't know when is the last time you're gonna see them. I don't want to commit suicide. Obviously, my rational mind would say never would I do that. I'm too scared to do that, but my irrational, anxiety-driven mind says it's always possible. And I feel one day if I grab that trigger and pull it, that don't blame me, I know a lot of people blame the ones that commit suicide. They're going to hell, they're this and that, but I fear that maybe they're just like me, and maybe they were a second too late for their rational thinking to kick in, or their breathing techniques, or their relaxation therapy. And I never want that to happen, and I hope it never happens. And I want to extend an arm to you to say, if you need help, if you want to talk to somebody, I'm always going to be here. My door's always open. And I love you all. I love you all. I thank you for watching this video. I hope it raises awareness in a way. It doesn't make me any less of a mother, and it doesn't make you any less of a parent either. I'm going to continue to do all I can. I might stay in this house for a little while, but little by little, I'm going to get better, and I'm committed to getting better, and that's what you have to do too if you have a mental illness. So thank you guys so much for watching Em and Ev. I love you with all my heart, and I'll see you next time.